Far, far away, in the depths of a mysterious forest, spread a story of horror and mystery. Abandoned and forgotten by humans, this forest hid dark secrets and unfathomable dangers. Legends told of mysterious disappearances, when people dared to conquer forbidden territories and never return. A group of explorers decided to uncover the secrets of the abandoned forest and figure out what was really going on. They were venturesome and daring, full of hope of discovering something amazing. Armed with maps, compasses, and special equipment, they set out on a journey into the world of the unknown. The first days passed merrily and carefree. The explorers were delighted by the beauty of the forest, its dense trees, the silence, and the singing of the birds. They collected plant specimens, studied local animals, and shared the joy of new discoveries. But as they moved deeper into the forest, the surrounding atmosphere began to change. The wind began to whistle through the branches of the trees, creating ominous sounds. The sun did not penetrate the dense foliage, and it became too dark. The explorers began to feel a strange unease and uncontrollable restlessness. The nights were becoming especially gloomy. The sounds of nocturnal nature fell silent, and the air was filled with an air of uncertainty. Sleep became a luxury they were deprived of. Every rustle, every slight breeze, sent a shiver through their hearts. One day, one of the band members disappeared without a trace. He was there, and then disappeared, as if vanishing into thin air. The remaining explorers were left in utter despair, trying to figure out what had happened. They began to feel that the forest was watching them, that the mysterious eyes of hidden entities were watching their every move. Fear and paranoia engulfed their minds, distorting reality and trampling rationality. The second and third explorers disappeared mysteriously shortly after the first disappearance. The group grew smaller and smaller, and the mystery of the forest shrouded them more and more in a deadly cloud. The only remaining participants decided to turn back and leave the cursed place, but it turned out that they were no longer destined to do so. As soon as they turned to head back, the road they had just walked disappeared. The forest had changed, as if it had turned into a maze that would not allow them to find their way out. They wandered along abandoned trails, but ended up in the same place every time. Everyone was in a panic, their nerves stretched to the limit. Hours turned into days, and days into weeks. The explorers were exhausted, both physically and mentally. They endured endless nights filled with terrors, visions, and sounds that seemed to burst from the depths of their subconscious. One by one, they began to lose their minds. Uncontrollable fear and madness took over their minds, and they began to do incomprehensible and dangerous things. Their faces began to contort, their voices turned into shrill cries of hopelessness. Finally, the last explorer found himself alone, surrounded by impenetrable darkness and obscurity. All his hopes for salvation had collapsed, and he realized that he would be the next victim of the mysterious forest. However, the story did not end here. He disappeared, and so did everyone else. Time continued to flow in this cursed place, and the mysterious disappearances in the abandoned forest were just another chapter in his dark story. The legend of the mysterious disappearances became even more powerful, spreading its wings and filling people's hearts with anxiety and fear. As time passed, groups of explorers continued to come and go. Tales of the abandoned forest and its sinister secrets became rumors that quickly spread among those who dared to try their luck and penetrate its depths. People sought answers, but the forest was impenetrable and ruthless. Every attempt to penetrate its territory ended in disaster. More disappearing, more sadness and mourning. Years later, one brave woman named Emily decided to infiltrate the abandoned forest. Her heart was full of determination, but the temptation and mystique surrounding the place slowly began to evaporate. Emily stepped cautiously along the path, wary of every rustle and every movement. She was aware of all the previous disappearances, and confident that she would find the answers others had sought for so long. But with each step, Emily sank deeper into emptiness and hopelessness. The forest seemed to consume her vitality, and the atmosphere around her grew heavier and heavier. She saw shadows, heard ghostly whispers, and felt the touch of invisible entities. Time seemed non-existent here. The days coalesced together, and Emily sank deeper and deeper into the abyss of the forest. Soon, she realized that this place was not just an abandoned forest, but a portal to another dimension where darkness and evil ruled. Her mind began to waver, and reality and fantasy merged into one. Emily could no longer tell the difference between where the forest ended and where the nightmare began. She could feel the essence of the cursed place creeping into her mind, and now she herself was becoming part of this dark legend. Each night turned into a hellish nightmare. Emily saw ominous figures, the ghosts of past victims who roamed the woods, seeking release from their torment. They whispered incomprehensible words and warned Emily that she had become a prisoner of this cursed place. All her attempts to escape the forest proved futile. The paths she had taken did not lead her to the exit, but into the heart of the darkness. The forest was like a spider's web. An invisible force tangled and led her deeper and deeper, as if obeying the forest's own wishes. One day, when Emily had lost all hope, she saw the silhouette of a little girl. The little girl was standing by the oldest and largest tree, which reeked of death and hopelessness. The girl's eyes were empty, and her face reflected unspeakable sadness. Emily approached the girl with the hope of salvation. But then the tree burst into flames of hell. The girl looked at Emily and whispered in a low, piercing voice, "You can't leave. You belong here now, just like everyone else." The flames engulfed the girl, and the next moment Emily was surrounded by all-consuming fire. Pain and hopelessness engulfed her, and the curse of the forest penetrated her very being. Emily became another ghost, one of many who wandered through the abandoned forest. Her fate became part of an endless cycle of misery and torment from which there is no escape. The forest remains a forbidden zone that no one dares to violate. Its power and mystery continue to attract the curiosity of explorers, but the price they will pay is too high. Every step into its territory could lead to an end, a kidnapping or insanity. The mysterious disappearances in the abandoned forest remain an unsolved mystical puzzle that no one can fully solve. It continues to fuel fantasy and imagination, remaining a dark legend filled with fear and anxiety. Thus, the story of mysterious disappearances in an abandoned forest continues to terrorize minds and contribute to the endless saga of nature's dark mysteries.